turn
love
it on.
it. I love it.
I didn't even
It makes
turn
me
it
feel
on.
fantastic,
It's the two of us sitting here. Let's try it again, just a little bit. And just what I'm interested.
That's like a relief.
Isn't that funny? You just sit here talking to each other. I'm watching you here. I gotta get a bit. It's actually very nice. But I'm back to this idea of the photographer who's making these beautiful things for their own reasons, and they put it in front of you, and you're an accomplished eye, you're an accomplished heart, an accomplished gut, and you bring to the table that sensibility.
Try. I mean, I think like, how do I recognize in something when I see that I like it? I think that's a big part of it, that I haven't seen it before. To me, like I feel like I have a personal taste which is not the same as, you know, I can see that something's good or worthwhile, but if it really affects me, like I am interested in like landscape and the way like we build this world that we live in, and what that looks like, and like how these sort of the environment that we make for ourselves. I'm really interested in what that says about us in a way that's like sneaky, I guess. Like what it says about us that we don't really want it to say. Like I'm interested in like bad architecture sometimes, or like spaces that are like not where anybody's put a lot of effort, like the spaces sort of like over-designed, or like the edges of what we design. You know, the work that I used to do was about like, I was interested in like freeway landscaping, or like I did a project looking at like front yards in like Queens, where people are really. But he had the recent sort of obsessive about
spaces.
Yeah, these ideas, but I don't know what they say. They say something about the culture you came from, and something about how you think nature should look. But maybe you're not really thinking about that. I guess like, you just think that this is how your front yard should look. It should have a lawn, or it should have a statue, or it should have a bird bath, or it all sort of tells you how you think you relate to nature.
Urban, or country, or both.
Or in between.
When we drive up to Route 22, which runs up through the, I guess it's the Hudson River Valley, but it's on the eastern side of it, and you just drive through these beautiful landscapes. But if you look at them tight, the guys. It's dirty. It's not really in disarray, but it is.
Right.
But it's a civilization almost that you see there.
Yeah.
It goes up the mountains there on the east, and there's just, you run through there and you think that this is a Shangri-La of some sort.
He is good. He's good.
Right.
I listen to the
and like in some parts it is like, I don't know, like the difference between like Ansel Adams and this like really perfect nature versus like what nature really looks like.
And how you can capture it. It's
Right.
not so easy to capture.
Yeah, exactly. And there's different ways of like Robert Adams versus Ansel Adams. Like both of them have this reverence for.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure the edges of what film can capture, but in Ansel Adams, it's applied to this like grand vision of nature, and it's sort of more mysterious.
Do you like the Hudson River School paintings? Do you know them?
I know them. I don't know them well though.
Because they were landscapists, and they had a deep reverence for that whole beauty. And when you do wander through there, I mean, there are various lenses that you can see the landscape through if you think of it in terms of those paintings, or maybe you impose an Ansel Adams view, or the other photographers, I'm not so clear on, but I don't know them personally, but you see them and the passion for details in that landscape takes your breath away.
It
Actually.
does.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And it, by the way, it gives you a raison d'etre
We had John's niece and nephew.
I mean,
to appreciate.
yeah, landscape painting like that. I always was sort of jealous that painters get to like the palette is really where the emotion is,
Yeah.
like the color relationships, and they get to just make it up. And if you're a photographer, you have to just sort of wait. You just have to like
Wait for the light or take enough of them so that
Yeah.
one of them becomes brilliant.
yeah, you just have to like back when I shot landscapes, I knew that when it was overcast, okay, I gotta go. Like this is now when it's starting to get how I like it. I like that like white sky and the flatness that it put on green stuff like that, or whatever the ground was. But sometimes it would be blue skies for like weeks and weeks and weeks.
Give me a cloud.
Yeah, and I think what I didn't know then was that if I'd gone out like right at dawn and right at dusk, I could have found that. I could have shot at the golden hour, and that would have.
Hey, listen, there's always time. There will be time.
Yeah. But now
Get out there again.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Then I think this question of whether you concentrate on something. If you've been concentrating on looking at other people's photography, but if you're concentrating on your own photography and that focus in relentless, day after day after day, it begins to become a vocabulary or a vernacular for you, and actually you begin to seek and probably produce some bon mots which you just otherwise won't catch unless you were to concentrate on it.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like when I moved to New York, I felt like New York is lacking in that kind of like space is so precious here that there are no places where nobody cares. There are
Where
no
you hang out.
in between spaces here. Like every square inch is fought over, and there's no sort of unconscious. I guess I felt like the spaces that are like in between what people. That are like sort of just outside of what people pay attention to. That's sort of this like unconscious thinking about the landscape, and in New York there is no unconsciousness. Like it's all really conscious.
There's peculiar detritus,
That's true.
and because things become those things that people are concentrating on, are brushed up and cleaned and washed, and those that are passing, changing times. The Pepsi-Cola sign down at the other end of 47th Street is an example of a detritus which, what can you say? You can say it's absolutely wonderful, and you can appreciate it if you look down 47th Street across the East River.
Yeah. Is that the only street that you see it down?
Well, it's one of them. You can see it from various angles, but we, for instance, from up on the penthouse terrace, you can see it down 47th Street because it's it's a canyon.
Do you know Vera? Do you know the photographer Vera Luder's work? She's like a German photographer who's been in New York for a long time, and she builds these giant pinhole cameras that are basically rooms and exposes these long exposures for like a week or a month at a time.
Nice.
And she did a whole sort of series around the Pepsi-Cola sign when they took it down, I think.
I'd love to know something about that.
Yeah, she's great, and she's
Say the name again.
Vera Luter.
Okay. Good. We'll check her out.
Yeah, I love her.
Now I'm going to wind up here. It's almost 10 minutes, and this is James Knowles for Roger Smith News. Would you just say your name?
My name is Rebecca Roberts.
Yeah, great. And this is for RS Learning or whatever else we do here. Thank you.